Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy.
Just a ton on the line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints coming up on Sunday. We'll talk about the injury report coming up here that we got 24 hours ago. But I just wanted to lay a few things out here before we get into breaking down the personnel in the game. If the Bucs lose this game, they would be 0-2 in the division because they lost that heartbreaker to Atlanta. Only 5 teams that started their seasons 0-2 in division play have won them since the current format was installed in 2002. Only 5 times that has happened. And so this is an awkward spot for Tampa because they came over early, and they've been in New Orleans all week. And, who knows where friends and family may be. We understand that as well as anybody here in South Louisiana. But it's been an awkward week outside of the routine. I listen to Jake every morning on OTB, and he talks about the routine that NFL players and really football players in general get into. And Tampa's been taken out of that this week with their trip to New Orleans. Of course, that's small potatoes in the football sense, sleeping in a hotel instead of your bed, as opposed to starting a quarterback who's never started a game before. And that's what the Saints are up against on Sunday with Spencer Rattler. Yesterday's show, we talked about the tough spot this is for Spencer Rattler. You don't have the starting center. Don't have the starting right guard. Your tackles have been okay. You don't have your do-it-all playmaker in Taysom Hill. You didn't have in practice on Wednesday Rashid Shaheed. Kamara's been dealing with things, and he wasn't practicing earlier in the week. It's just not a super advantageous spot to put a rookie quarterback in with all of those parts around him in the offense so much in flux. But thankfully for New Orleans, you got some better news in some spots with players on the injury report yesterday. Offensively, Alvin Kamara returned to practice on Thursday in a limited way. Rashid Shaheed returned to practice on Thursday in a limited way. Those two guys having not practiced is not a big deal for them. Alvin Kamara doesn't need to practice. He knows the offense. He knows what the speed of an NFL game is like. He can sit and not necessarily work out early in the week. Basically, the same thing goes for Rashid Shaheed. He's been around long enough, and his role in the offense is solidified enough that he doesn't have to go out there and crack helmets on a Tuesday to get ready to play, on a Wednesday to get ready to play. But when you have a quarterback who's trying to work with the first team for the first time, you'd like to have the first team out there. Like that obviously almost goes without saying that's preferable. And so, thankfully, yesterday in Thursday's injury report, Alvin Kamara did return in a limited way, and Rashid Shaheed did return in a limited way. You would assume that on Friday those guys would ramp it up just another notch, and they'd be good to go. Rashid Shaheed met with reporters yesterday, said, yeah, I'll be ready to go in the game. And so that's a big deal. I think this is an obvious point with Spencer Rattler, but one that I'll certainly make because it'd be malpractice not to. You got to worry about turnovers with young quarterbacks. They can be game-changing, and they can be confidence-crippling. And Spencer Rattler does not lack for ability nor confidence. And all of a sudden, if you get a little too aggressive in an unnecessary way and try to put too much pressure on that offensive line, and all of a sudden he starts trying to fit balls in windows that were there when South Carolina was playing the Citadel but aren't there when the Saints are playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, you get in some trouble. Tampa's got a good defensive front. I think Jalen Carter and Chris Jones are better than anybody that the Bucks have, but it's still a good group, obviously. And so I would prioritize some safe stuff early. I was listening to Jake on the morning show, and he said you got to run your offense. You can't put a governor on him, is what Jake was saying on the morning show. And I agree with that to an extent. You can't run all 3-yard hitch routes. You can't run all quick screens. You can't do nothing but run the ball. You've got to let Spencer Rattler play quarterback. But my suggestion would be to make sure that he's fairly comfortable. I don't want to get out there if you've got Spencer Rattler making his debut and and throw a bunch of intermediate and deep shot passes on first down because he's a gunslinger. Because as quickly as you get into 2nd and 10 and you get into 3rd and 9 and you give the ability of the defense to know that a pass is coming, and that means they can disguise their defenses so much more easily than they could if a run was possible, then you make things as hard on him as possible. Like if a defense is in 3rd and 9 because you took shots on 1st and 2nd down, then they can bring 6 guys up and be creative with which ones they bring, which 4 or 5 they bring, which one they drop. They can make things look different. You use the term seeing ghosts all the time. They can disguise where pressure is coming from because they don't have to respect the run. This goes without saying, and it's a very obvious football cliche, but it's more important with Spencer Rattler out there than it is with Derek Carr. You have to stay in front of the chains. You have to find a way to make sure that Tampa can't know that you're coming with pressure, that you're coming with the pass, so they can come with pressure. Because I think Spencer Rattler will turn the ball over if that happens. I'm with you, Saints fans, in terms of the glimmer of hope that comes to light when Spencer Rattler takes the field out there. But you've got to stay in front of the chains. And that means Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams are going to have to shoulder a huge load. And then some easy stuff. Get the ball on the perimeter. Chris Olave, Rashid, Shaheed, you got to make some people miss. You got to make some people miss on short throws. You can't count on Spencer Rattler finding tight windows all through intermediate coverage all day long. Give him some easy stuff and let him move forward. I'm not saying, as Jake suggested this morning, limit it to 10 plays, keep him comfortable with all that. No, run it, but understand what the mission is. And the Saints, quite frankly, cannot expect to win on Sunday. Cannot expect to win on Sunday if they are going to go out there and think that they've got to score 32 points to do it. The Saints need to beat Tampa 24-20. They need to beat them 20-17. And what does that mean? Defense, come on now. Peyton Turner returned in a limited way. Willie Gay was a full participant yesterday. You've got to get some of these guys back on defense that have missed a little time, and it looks like they're getting pretty healthy. I realize Will Harris is going to miss time, and you're working out 4 safeties yesterday, but you've got Tyron back. DeMario's back. Your secondary, especially at corner, is healthy. Chase Young is playing well. Carl Granderson is ready to go. Brazie's out there. Like, your defense, as bad as the injuries are on offense, your defense looks okay. And so they've got to play well. Tampa's got 2 receivers that are playing elite-level football right now. Godwin's been awesome, and Evans is just as steady as they come over the last decade in the league. But the defense is going to have to show up. The defense is going to have to hold Tampa to 17 or 20 points. And if you don't, and if you give up 28 or 31 in this game, you will lose. And you are going to put yourself in such a bad spot if you lose this game from a record standpoint, division losses standpoint that comes with tiebreakers, energy in the city standpoint, Sean Payton coming to town next Thursday standpoint, like all of that. And so I realize that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here when I say I'm not expecting a ton from the offense and you better win. But that's what it comes down to. In the defense, it better show up. You've got to force a turnover or 2. You've got to get to Baker Mayfield. You've got to stop some drives. The good news for the Saints, and I do think there's something to this, is that they have the best red zone defense in the National Football League. And I don't think that's coincidence. Why do I think they have the best red zone defense in the NFL? Because I think they're really good in coverage, and I think they close those windows when the field shrinks very, very well. Yeah, Saquon got loose for a long touchdown run. Yeah, Dallas Goedert got loose and set up the touchdown. Those are big chunk plays that have hurt you. Those plays go away when you shrink down the field to 20 yards and inside 15 and 10 yards. And guys like Lattimore, Alante Taylor, Adebo, Tyron, they're making plays to make turnovers in the red area and force field goals. Teams are only scoring touchdowns 25% of the time on the Saints in the red zone. That has to continue. I do think the Bucs will move the ball. You got to stop them in the red zone. And if you can get into a late game situation you are at home. Now, the Saints have stunk in late-game situations. Ross Jackson, our Saints beat reporter for LouisianaSports.net, has got a great column up on the website right now talking about the defense's inability to make the plays late to get a win. They couldn't stop the Cardinals, the Falcons. Sorry, they went down and got that pass interference penalty. They couldn't stop the Eagles. They let the big play to Goddard go. You got to a winning portion of that game, and you couldn't make the play. You've got to get it to that point, largely on the back of the defense, and then win the game at that point. And right now, they haven't done that. So it's an adverse spot for the Saints. Even though Tampa is on the road and traveling early, even though you've got the home crowd behind you, it's an adverse spot. But it's one you really need because you can start seeing the light dim on this Dennis Allen era of Saints football if they don't do a better job Sunday and get a win. Because I'm just telling you right now, you lose 2 home games in 5 days, see ya. Like, lights out. That's 5 losses in a row, 2 at home. You're way down in the division. Don't have the tiebreaker with either team. Big, 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 big trouble. Huge game for the Saints coming up on Sunday inside the Superdome. It'll be a noon kickoff between the Saints and the Buccaneers.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.